Scorched fucking earth.
Scorched earth?
Yep.
What's
coming
happening?
Up. That's what's about to come up.
Okay.
Before we get into that, our next giveaway is $500 Amazon gift card at 500 subscribers.
Ooh.
Yep.
And we're almost halfway there, right?
We have like 220, 218 or something like that.
Hell yeah, get on it, guys.
Yeah. So, we passed 100 very quickly. Charlene actually just got her card this morning.
That's so awesome. Congratulations.
So yeah, all you have to do is be a subscriber, leave a comment. That's all you have to do.
Pretty easy.
Yep.
I want $500.
Do it on YouTube though, because I don't think you can leave comments on Spotify. I might be wrong.
I have no idea.
I don't think you can leave on Apple. I don't know. You can leave a rating and review on Apple, and you can leave a like on this video on YouTube. And I don't know. Can you like stuff on Spotify? I don't know. I don't use Spotify. I have no idea. So I use it on the podcast side to push out content, but
we don't personally use it.
I have YouTube Premium, so YouTube Music, YouTube, no ads, except when we talk about stuff like our sponsor, NonaPhillips.com. Get some insurance.
Why, thank you.
If you have USA, ditch USA, Nona will get you a better rate. Today's episode is also brought to you by America's Technology Center of Excellence, Lemax Media. Links for both of those are in the description. So let's get down to business.
Yeah.
So
the nitty gritty.
I am like the most unknown person that knows the people. I'm like what was it called? Was it Wizard of Oz? The guy behind the curtain? That's basically...
No, you're a nobody.
Yeah, I'm a nobody, but...
You're not the Wizard of Oz puppet master behind the curtain.
But the people that
makes you sound manipulative.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't go down that path. Not a good path.
So, can't wait till we upgrade our mics. So this shit's not all clusterfuck in my way.
Yeah. That's why I can't use my computer. I literally cannot see past this black blob.
So, for those of you that know Nick Palmisciano, used to be somebody that I looked up to. Used to be...
When we first met, he said that Nick was one of his mentors.
Yep. I basically have like 3 that I would reliably say. My buddy Sean Davis, who I still talk to occasionally, is not on social media.
Right, you did mention that.
But I always text him on his birthday.
Yes.
And that's usually the extent of our conversation for a year. He texts me on mine. I text him on his. And that's basically it. Hey, you still doing good? Yep. All right, cool. See you next year.
You made it another year. Congratulations. You are alive. Good job.
Actually, the last time him and I talked was right before Michigan played Alabama in the Rose Bowl. So, and his birthday's coming up in August. So August 30th.
Okay. Anyways.
I've been sending him happy birthdays for so long that I actually know his birthday, like off the top of my head. So rewind real quick before we get into all that. If anybody watching this happens to know an executive or anything, former, current, even just somebody that held the boom. Actually, I don't think they did that at all for the show. Anyways, if you were on the production crew for Surviving the Cut for the Army Sniper School episode, season 2, episode 2, please get with me. Jacob Munt, who is basically the main character of the entire episode. Him and I are looking for footage of me breaking into the aid station on Camp Rogers to help him wrap his ankle for the Ruck March for Sniper School. I know the film crew was there, and it was in the original cut that aired on TV. I can't remember if it was on Spike or Discovery when it first... I think it was Spike when it first aired, and then Discovery bought it.
But it doesn't exist anymore?
That clip, when I watched it with Cash, is not in what made it to YouTube.
Interesting.
But we're looking for it for a very specific reason. So if you happen to know how we can get a hold of that footage,
the original footage,
please message us somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. So, Nick Palmisciano,
Mm.
shitbag. You know when
No comment.
you follow somebody's like career or like are friends with them for a long period of time, and you notice things, but you also notice the lack of other things. So, for example, it's normal for somebody to work for you and then to move on to another project,
Yes. Very normal.
both on their own accord, being fired,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really matter.
Right.
So over time, his business partners moved on to other things, moved out of state, moved back to the Chicago area.
Is that where he's from?
No, that's where, and of course now his name's evading me. One of his original business partners at Ranger Up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Tom Amenta. Then we have Greg Drobny, who's on Veteran Wiki's board. Used to work for him. That's a whole clusterfuck. I know tons of stories behind that. Other former employees, both Ranger Up, DJM, and other ventures and things like that. But it's not really what I'm going scorched earth over. What I'm going scorched earth over is how he treats and handles his clients. He basically treats his clients like they are a money tree.
I was literally going to interject and ask, does he use them like a piggy bank?
Yeah.
And I was just waiting for you to say because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And okay.
And we talked last night about, I mentioned to you, and this isn't like an accusation, but it's what it would appear if somebody from the outside was given the knowledge that I have without having known the people involved.
Yes.
Is that it legitimately seems like fucking money laundering.
That's exactly what it appeared to an outsider myself.
Yeah. Not saying that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know somebody's going to be like, oh, yeah, accused him of money. No, I didn't.
No.
I'm saying that if you are on the outside and I told you all this information, that's probably what you would assume. So, that's the only conclusion that, like, why would specific clients stay on board?
Mm-hmm.
The money kind of goes back and forth between them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Money in and money out,
Right.
back and forth between just
you use
a handful
me,
of
I
people.
use you.
Yeah.
I'm going to fuck you over and you keep using me.
Yep. So Warrior Rising, whose shirt I'm wearing right now,
Mm-hmm.
is a nonprofit that we've talked about, but for the audience that's joining us for the first time.
Or audio audiences who can't see what we're looking, what we're wearing.
I'm wearing a shirt that was designed last February that was released for St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Guinness logo, but with Warrior Rising's name in their font. They're a nonprofit organization that works with veterans, helps veterans grow and start businesses. They do a lot of mentorship. They have a lot of seminars. They have all kinds of online education and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you complete their program, you're selected. Some of them are selected to go to a gala. There's typically 4 a year. And at the gala, there's a pitch competition. The winner of the pitch competition takes home a cash prize,
Mm-hmm.
as well as some other things. They give out a lot of equipment and grants, all kinds of stuff. They help you with your marketing. They help with website stuff if you don't currently have a website.
Mm-hmm.
They typically give them MacBooks, I believe, to all the people that attend the pitch competition.
There's a lot of incentives to go through this program, obviously.
So they're a great organization.
Mm-hmm.
Jason and his team are awesome. But they started a podcast about a little over a month ago. Shortly after we launched ours,
Mm-hmm.
they launched their first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And when it dropped, it wasn't on YouTube. And as I said, I don't check other places.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it ended up being added, or I texted Ken, and it ended up being added on YouTube. It was already uploaded, but it was unlisted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
You've mentioned this a few times on the podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So And all the original episodes, at least their interview episodes, were done at one of the gala venues from earlier this spring. I recognized the hotel. I recognized the curtains and everything.
So they're kind
like
of recycling footage that they already
no,
had, or what do you mean?
That was intentionally created to launch this podcast.
Oh, okay. I understand.
They just happened to have the guests because they were attending the gala.
Right.
So it was a perfect opportunity to set them down and conduct the interviews. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Right. Understood.
I don't know if any of them were speakers at the gala or if they were just guests of the gala. I don't know. Wasn't there this time.
Okay.
So
that's right. You weren't.
There are best practices with any operation, podcast, any other video content, any business of any kind. And the bare minimum for creating and uploading a podcast to YouTube and Spotify is very simple. There are things like your thumbnails that you want to be, eye-catching. You want your descriptions to be searchable. You want to add your timestamps in there so people can skip around to the content that they want to.
Okay.
Sometimes there's some A/B testing that you want to do. You want to have, a couple different variations of your thumbnail, a couple different title variations. Sometimes that screws you because you can't really change it as easily on other platforms. So I have to be really conscious of what our title is going to be, because once it hits Spotify and Apple, you can't change it.
Okay.
Once it goes live specifically.
Okay.
There are some things that you can change, but it doesn't work like how on YouTube I can wholesale swap out a thumbnail and description on a whim any second, whatever.
Okay.
On Spotify, you more or less have to re-upload the video. So you lose your views and analytics and any ad revenue and stuff like that.
And you know all of this information because
I helped them with their podcast, and I've helped other people, and I have several YouTubers with multi-million clients. I was developer for Drink Bros for a long time. I actually have texts telling Ross 5 years ago, hey, fix your thumbnails. That's why you guys are sucking. I built...
and they're still sucking, right?
Yeah, well, they went up during COVID.
Right.
Because
everybody went up during COVID because that's all. They were there was nothing else to do.
Yeah, they were streaming every day, multiple episodes a day. They had tons of guests and stuff like that because they could. But now, after they moved to Texas, the focus seems to be more on their seltzer and merch sales. They don't really care about their video. I mean, they have shows now that have they have the same and or fewer views than we have, and we're 2 months into our show.
Right, and they have thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers. How many people?
They have 200 something thousand or something like that.
Okay, that's pretty good.
But when you have 200,000 subscribers
and only
on YouTube,
200 views, yeah, that's not good. That's not a good look.
Your own subscribers don't want to consume your content.
Right.
We have fewer subscribers than our average video gets views. So we are growing into our audience, and their audience is just passively subscribed and no longer consuming their content.
Right.
So coming back to Nick's show.
Okay.
I still have my other YouTube clients for Lemax Media. They're web development clients, but I work with them closely on a lot of stuff. JT Music is the biggest of them. They have 5 million subscribers on YouTube.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And we have 200.
Right.
So I know who to emulate.
Right.
We're taking some pages out of the playbook from Unsubscribed podcast.
Okay.
We're taking, lessons learned from other failures. I actually watch it, but I follow their content. Time for Pod, JT's podcast.
Okay.
Black Rifles podcast that Evan runs.
Meanwhile, I don't watch anybody's podcast, so all of this is brand new to me.
Yeah. So I pay attention to the nitty-gritty, to the details. That's my industry, my profession is the technical aspect of it, the SEO aspect for web search, web development, app development, stuff like that. Every time people listen to me,
line go up.
Yeah, line go up. They grow.
That's his favorite line. Line go up.
When they don't listen to me, they tend to either plateau or fall off. Nick started a podcast last February.
Okay.
It was called,
and you were still working there
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
time, correct?
I was handling uploads like 5 a.m.
Right.
listening to fucking audio,
Oh, yeah.
scrubbing through videos, making sure that everything was perfect.
I remember.
Writing the descriptions, the timestamps, everything.
Mm-hmm.
He got all kinds of sponsors on board
Mhm.
and backers, financial backers, stuff like that, that paid in, including Warrior Rising and several of Warrior Rising's clients.
Oh.
And we're talking to the tune of like $5,000, whatever, plus.
What?
I don't know the exact dollar amounts, but especially later on, but essentially they were charging to create a podcast that they weren't actually putting the effort into production.
Okay. But that's because they were also like a production company, so they already had all of that.
So they created a whole fancy sign. They have a goofy, gimmicky clip of Nick pretending the sign doesn't work and flicking it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
okay.
A brand new sign. Yeah, sure, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Sure.
Anyway.
They have the whole, video production team and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have good people
Right.
on video and audio and all that shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
their equipment is good.
Mm-hmm.
Their set is good or was good. Everything is good except the fucking execution.
Right.
Wanted to put none of that back into promoting or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was stuck in his ways, doing it. We used to do it this way and it worked this way. And let's try this first. But every time I ran like a minor experiment for, I don't know, like a book that was coming out for a client, last minute book launches that I helped with, like Chad Robishaw's book. And well, that one was a long, like drawn out thing. That was several months in the works. But we were half-assed on that. Like, I would say, hey, let's create some stuff. Let's capitalize on some milestones. Like Chad's book is whatever ranked in pre-sales. Like let's make some graphics, some motion graphics. And we need to look at how many things we're doing for them because they're only paying us X amount of money. The way that you get more money is by
having a successful outcome.
Yeah.
If you're not going to put effort into something and it not be success, then nobody's going to pay you.
If we're sitting on, an opportunity to help them continue to grow their brand, and we just don't do it because they haven't paid us more money yet, why would they want to pay you more money in the future?
Yeah, that's definitely backwards thinking.
If you pay me $5,000 and I do $5,000 worth of work, but knowing that if I do $100 worth of work, that you might come back later and pay me $10,000 to do more work, I'm going to do the extra $100 worth of fucking work.
And not just the same client, but also refer you out to other people so you grow your business and get more clients.
These guys did right by me. Not only did they hit the mark on everything that they were supposed to, they went above and beyond every fucking time.
Word of mouth is the best way to grow your business. And if word of mouth is they did the bare fucking minimum, then
word of mouth and referral is the best way to grow your, organically grow a good relationship with clients. But everything on the internet is pay to play. Like there is an amount.
I understand that.
There is an amount of advertising. Even if you're not specifically spending dollars on Facebook or Reddit or Twitter or whatever, you're still paying for, your verifications on platforms, and you're paying for additional features, and you're paying for software, and you're paying employees. There's still an element of having to pay and invest back in.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but you do need to run ads.
Mm-hmm.
Every business, every nonprofits have the ability to apply for ad grants on a lot of different platforms, but
Google being the biggest one, right?
Yeah, but you can't market video with the ad grant.
It has to be a still, just a picture or
I mean, you can send them to a video. You can send them to your website. Okay. Typically, the ad grant has stipulations that it has to be like a verified domain, so you can't send traffic to somebody else's site unless it's verified. There's a whole. I deal with this all the fucking time.
That's for another day. That's for another day.
So
anyway,
their philosophy essentially was set it and forget it.
Right.
That does not work. It doesn't work in ads, and it does not work organically.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys notice, we comment on every single
Thank you, Andrew.
I comment.
If you're talking to somebody on our podcast, it's Andrew.
If you comment on a video, I respond to you. If you comment on a community post, I respond to you. Sometimes I'll screenshot it and fucking burn your ass because you're stupid. But yeah, there was some guy in there yesterday talking about us wanting to take people's guns and I'm like,
what?
on a completely unrelated, it was the alfalfa male put your shopping cart away post. And he was like, you want to disarm people and ruin the republic. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Do you think he even knew what?
I don't know. He might be one of those people that just goes around and copy pastes something on hoping he catches traction or something.
Oh, he's just trying to stir up drama. Got it. Okay.
So when the content goes out, you can't passively publish content, especially when you're a startup,
right?
And not go back and engage with your audience, but also with other people's audiences.
Okay.
And that's not to say that you need to go out and promote. Like, don't go to somebody else's Reddit or somebody else's Twitter and say, hey, go check out our show.
Okay.
It's go as the creator or as the show, go engage with like-minded communities. Go in there as, for us, He's Wrong, She's Right podcast, and engage with those creators and their followers. Like, yeah, oh my God, this episode is amazing. Did you see this part? Did you see that part? Be a fucking human.
Right.
You can't just publish
We're all human.
You cannot publish shit and step away from it. You have to actively be involved. Every single one of our episodes that's published, I am sitting here typically doing two things at once.
Yes,
I'm doing client work and then going back and checking and tweaking and checking and tweaking, responding to comments.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. But I mean, scheduling content, scheduling posts, going back and checking comments on every platform. I mean, we have Pinterest, Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I have an entire tab group that's dedicated to just this podcast content that I am involved with every single fucking day, especially on days that we release an episode, because that's when YouTube favors both the creator but also the commenters and stuff. So if you can hit that first couple hours, they say that there's no correlation between the time that you upload and long-term success of the video, but it is proven then the first couple hours or so when your content's published, if you can get people driven to it, YouTube will start recommending it to more people that look like that same audience. So if you have GunTuber, audience, you have people that follow like Matt Carricker or whatever, and that's what your demographic is for your show, you want to be basically hitting the mark on what those people want to see, what those people want to hear, and you want to make your content recommendable to those same people. So if you draw in, say we get 100 views in the first hour or something like that, and 90% of those are unsubscribed people who happen to watch a not unsubscribed podcast, but people that are not subscribed to our show, you have to, or if 90% of them are from that demographic, if you can keep them engaged, YouTube will continue to recommend to people that look just like them, assuming that you can keep people on platform. That's the biggest thing that all of these platforms want. That's why when you try and put a link for something on Facebook, you'll notice that it gets less traction than any other content that you post. If you're trying to post a link to a video from YouTube, Facebook wants you to publish your content exclusively on their platform. The algorithm is not going to show that link to people, at least not at the same rate that they do your other content. So you have to do it other ways. Create graphics, create motion graphics, create reels.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Yes. And they're like, oh, we published the podcast, it'll just grow on its own. No, it fucking won't. And your show cannot be built around guests unless you always have guests. once you corner yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your audience wants you to stay in that. Scott Manley, who's a YouTuber that I follow,
Okay.
I follow him on Twitter.
Okay.
He just posted this week, I believe.
Okay.
He primarily got to start talking about space, SpaceX, other rockets,
Okay.
the breakdown, like how it works, talking about different launches and, everything that goes into it.
Okay.
Anytime he posts video of other content, like him flying and learning to fly,
Okay.
it gets like 1/10 of the views.
Because he's cornered his niche market of space only.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
what people typically have to do in that scenario is create a second channel or a third channel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, if you want to see my airplane flying content, go
Mhm.
over here. Because YouTube is finicky about that. If you start alienating your actual subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
some of them are just going to unsubscribe.
Right.
And that's an indicator to YouTube that, hey, this demographic no longer likes this guy's content. So they're going to stop recommending it to that lookalike audience.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
Which, I mean, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to, at least when you're small. When you're small, you have an opportunity to try things out
Mm-hmm.
and find your audience and find your voice.
All right, guys, we're playing with you.
Well, we are. But when you're already established, you no longer have that luxury. You do still have to adapt and follow trends,
Mm-hmm.
but you no longer have room to experiment on your primary channel.
Right. That makes sense.
You have to create some sort of spinoff, a second channel, or do something else on another platform. I have a meeting about this later with Zach from Veteran with a Sign. He's very successful on Instagram and Twitter, but his podcast doesn't really have traction on YouTube yet.
Gotcha.
So I have several thousand friends and followers on Facebook.
Okay.
They don't all follow the podcast. It doesn't translate. Your success on one platform does not translate to another. People on TikTok, their goal is to get on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like, so back in the day, if you were a YouTuber, you wanted to get on TV.
Okay.
Some YouTubers have successfully done it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them aren't necessarily like the face of whatever they go to,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of them, that's their goal. Create like science education, whatever, and then get picked up by like the Science Channel.
Okay.
Nowadays, everything is streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And for a period of time, YouTube had actually experimented with YouTube Originals, where they were long form, basically episodic TV series.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And so you would have like a channel
Mm-hmm.
that would have like their normal content, and then
Okay.
they would also have their episodic content. So Slow Mo Guys had what they called the Slow Mo Show.
Okay. It
And
sounds like it wasn't really big.
YouTube, well, Google in general, has a reputation of killing off things that people do like, because it doesn't.
It's not a good trend.
No, it doesn't meet like a very specific like threshold.
Uh-huh.
It could be, it could actually make money.
Uh-huh.
It could be in the green. But if it's not exponentially in the green.
Gotcha.
They don't-
Anyways,
yeah.
so back to Nick.
So back to Nick.
Get you on board.
Their entire operation is creation and then somebody else's problem. As a fucking marketing agency,
Mm-hmm.
it's your job to market your clients, to be in there actively doing those things. If you don't have the people to fill and sustain those roles, then you need to change the description in your offering. You can't say, hey, we're a full service or full stack operation, and then only do 25% of it.
Right. If all they're doing are making graphics, then just call yourself a graphic designer.
Yeah. So one of the guests, who was a graduate of the Warrior Rising Academy
Okay.
and winner
Mm-hmm.
of a pitch competition in the past.
Okay. So very successful in his
Yes.
own right.
Yeah. And he sold the company.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
amazing.
know how much he made, but he's working on, coincidentally, this goes back to Zach. He's working on a veterans claim organization.
Okay.
I don't know the full details. He hasn't given me the full details yet, but I'm going to get
That's
an
his
early
next
preview of it.
venture?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and he wants to talk to Zach about it because...
And I assume you're making the introduction today?
Well, no, I'm not making the introduction. Zach and I's meeting is about podcast stuff, but
Gotcha.
I already talked to him about it, or relay the information. So that's on Zach. If he wants to talk to him, then yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyways, so Nick, when in the early days of putting the podcast together, was having some fairly big, like, I didn't know who these people are, but Nick is involved in like shit with a lot of government agencies and organizations and stuff like that, and government officials.
So if we end up dead, you know why.
Yeah. So, but these people that he would have on the show were like, oh, you work in whatever, in Congress or whatever. Like, they weren't people that anybody actually wants to listen to.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they were.
So they're even more boring than me.
Yeah. But they were famous enough in their own right that they would attract people looking for them.
Gotcha. But
that doesn't create retention. Like, you don't retain that audience.
Right.
If somebody comes to the show for you and then you're no longer on the show, that whole demographic is not going to come back to the show.
Makes sense.
Which is why you can't build your entire show around guests.
Right.
You have to create an identity without guests. And then when you have guests on, it's special.
Right. Special guests.
Yes. Which, again,
we haven't figured out what our name for our guests will be.
Right. So Nick told this specific person that normally we charge for people to come on a fucking podcast that was getting like 88 views.
Okay. Make it make sense to me. The math is not mathing. Yeah.
Bringing in $2,000 to $5,000 for like 3 sponsors an episode, getting 80 views.
And charging guests to come on to their podcast.
He told him, and I have the screenshot. He sent me the fucking screenshot. It's not hyperbole. He said, we typically charge for the honor of being on our show. Like,
the honor? Oh my God.
Nobody's watching your show. You don't charge guests to be on your show. You either pay guests,
right,
because you're an unknown, or the guest comes on because they like you or are trying to extend the reach of their brand, or whatever. So they either come on for
honor.
Free. Yeah.
I'm just gonna be stuck on that.
You guys haven't seen this episode, but and the more I listen to it and watch it, like, we just have to have them back. We have to have Eric and Ashley Tansey back.
Oh my gosh, yes, but we definitely need to have a better audio setup.
Yeah. And we will.
Okay.
So look forward to that summer. Anyways, we were sitting out there.
Yeah.
Hold on. ADD brain for a second. What were we just talking about leading up to that?
We were talking about your person.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. So we had Eric and Ashley early last month on our show. And we had a whole spread, charcuterie, 6 bottles of wine, because we were doing like he's a sommelier, so we were doing like a little wine tasting thing. But we had this whole spread set up, and I was like, I know that you're supposed to do this and that for your guests. And he's like, nobody's ever done that for me, and we don't do that for our guests. I'm like, well, that's what I was told and taught, is that you're supposed to have like a gift, and it's supposed to be an experience for the guest as well. Like, you should want to come back.
Well, that's how I feel about having guests in my home, period.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the podcast.
Yeah.
When you have people over, you are welcoming them into your home. Yeah. So, yeah, it's about being welcoming.
We had this whole, huge spread for just the 4 of us to pick at for the 4 hours. The 4 hours that we were recording. And to say that you don't even do that, but instead you charge for people to come on.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
If you were charging them to sponsor an episode, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But you cannot, in good faith, not put money back into promoting your own show if you're taking money from somebody under the guise that you're going to fucking get them views and clicks to their business. You can't just say, oh, I have a podcast and this link will live on forever. It's not
Except
evergreen.
It won't, because didn't they delete it?
It's not, yeah. And it's not evergreen anyways. Anybody that watches this episode, 99% of them are not going to go start back at episode 1. If they stick with the show, they'll watch this episode, go forward. They might watch a couple previous high-performing episodes because it's recommended to them.
Yeah, I could see that.
The Mike Glover episode will probably be promoted to them. That episode continues to get like 200 views a day.
Wow. A day.
Yeah. It's just very, very slowly is just kind of going like this.
Line go up.
Whereas all of our other episodes
up.
kind of hit a plateau, and they might get 1 or 2. Like, I get recommended some of our old videos on some of our other channels and stuff like that.
Oh.
And it would be like episode like 12. It has like, I don't know how many views it has, but I'm going to say like 90 views. Like, when you look at the thumbnail, this is why I said that we need to go back and update some of that stuff. I don't have the time to do it right now, but that would improve our click-through rate because they're promoting content that we don't even necessarily want to promote to people. They're promoting our underperforming content, thinking that that's going to help. No, I want you to show our successful content, YouTube, please. But like that's one of the things. Like, when you're putting together something like this, you have to actively go back and reassess that stuff. You have to look at what the algorithm is showing you. If you're having everyone in-house, trying to get those numbers pumped up early, like, hey, go watch it on your device, whatever. You have to get feedback from those people. Hey, what was recommended to you at the end of that? Oh, okay. It recommended the same thing to pretty much everybody, even though you're all in various completely different demographics. You're a woman and you hate guns. You're a man and you like guns. You're a woman and you hate cooking. You're a man and you love cooking. And it fucking referred or presented you the same video at the end. Hey, let's go polish that one up.
That makes sense.
Let's go fix the description if we didn't do it right the first time. Let's go fix the thumbnail. Let's increase our click-through rate. They won't do that. Nick's team does not do that. They do not fucking care about you or your business. And I will say that because it's true. Nick cares about Nick. Nick cares about keeping his businesses and ventures alive. Nick cares about his brand. Nick cares about Nick. He does not care about you. He does not care about your podcast. He does not care about your book. He cares about keeping himself trending.
And his brand is his name. It's not his business. Yeah. Because he's had various businesses.
Yeah. And I mean, so I knew about the Range Rover debacle when it happened. And I was one of the ones that went through and gave them positive reviews and stuff because I had a positive experience at the time. But I hadn't left. There was like Trustpilot, I think, was the one that they wanted people, like their rating just like bombed on it because they took the distribution. They weren't printing in-house. Somebody else was printing. They'd be shipped to them. Okay. And then they would warehouse it all. They're in Durham, pack orders, ship it out from there.
Okay.
They moved that part of the operation to a company in Atlanta called Store Frontier.
Okay. And what happened with them?
They were unable to keep up with demand. And at the time, Range 15 was being promoted and, we were trying to do the theater push and they were doing red carpet events and doing blah, blah. Yeah, red carpet, like for friends.
Gotcha. Okay.
Other veterans and people that were involved in the project. So his attention was elsewhere.
Gotcha.
And it all happened to culminate around like Black Friday. People that ordered stuff during those sales did not receive their orders before Christmas.
Oh, shit. That's a long time.
Yeah. So they were having issues with the warehousing. They were having, like, their product was being held hostage. While I worked for DJM, one of the co-owners or co-founders for Store Frontier came back to us and wanted us to rebrand, help them like start a new brand and image and build a new website and all this shit. So a guy that Nick sued came back to work with Nick.
What?
Yeah. And then used me to work out, web development stuff and try and fix things on their existing website and like legal shit with the other owner's fucking attorney and fucking nightmare. Meanwhile, I'm not getting paid for any of this. I'm getting paid my normal salary, but Lemax Media is not getting paid. I'm doing this under the guise of like, okay, I'm helping you out. I'm helping your clients out. Like when it comes time for bonuses.
Right.
I know that I put in the effort.
Right. And no, you never saw a single bonus.
No, I conveniently was fired right when the first opportunity for me to be eligible for the bonus pool came up, which was after a year. Not only that.
And you're not the only person who was fired right before their 1 year mark also.
Yeah. Several people before and several people after me. Several people moved and were working remotely. And then all of a sudden it was no longer convenient. And it was right around their 1 year mark. Hey, you want to stay on as a contractor instead? That's what they offered me. First, they were like, we were going to fire you. And then we saw how Warrior Rising reacted to you and your involvement in the fucking gala.
Right.
Running social media. I'm running around fucking sweating my ass off, live posting and trying to stream. They just didn't have good enough internet.
Right.
The entire gala. And the reaction of some of their board members at the end of the event, getting up, giving me hugs and all this stuff, and Nick watching all this, he's like, oh,
right.
So I saw how they reacted to you, and they really like you, and you have good rapport with them. But we were going to fire you, but now we want to offer that you stay on as a contractor. You might make more money as a contractor. Oh, I might by losing my fucking benefits.
Right.
I might make more money by having to come out of pocket for that shit. Get fucked. I'm not stupid. Just because a majority of your employees are non-veterans now and they're like brand new out of college or interning over summer and are in college.
Right.
Like these people are gullible enough to believe your fucking lies. I'm not. That's why I didn't take your fucking severance pay, which let's talk about that real quick and then I'll come back. So when they were threatening lawsuits and stuff because Warrior Rising had offered me an opportunity to work for them, I did not ask for it.
Right.
I just said, hey, I know I'm on my way out. Just giving you guys a heads up. Like I want to get you guys stuff that might be on my devices. Because even in Lemax Media, I do not own or maintain any of my clients' intellectual property.
Right.
I fucking refuse to. You're not going to give me passwords. If the service that you're using doesn't have a delegate access capability, I'm going to walk you through doing it. We're going to have a video call and you're going to do it yourself. I will not put myself in a fucking position where something can even accidentally happen. I'm not going to put myself in a position where my computer is hacked.
Right.
And now I'm at fault for something that happened on your account. I'm not going to fucking do it. The onus is on you. Okay.
Makes sense.
So all I said was, hey, like the writing's on the wall. And they were like, oh, we could offer you. And I'm like, and I have the screenshots. I'm like, no, I'm trying to stay. I'm just letting you know so that you guys can make preparations on your end for your benefit. And Nick said, stop contacting our clients and blah, blah, blah. Which one of the fucking things that he expressed in several meetings was, if a client wants to hire one of our employees, that's a success for us. Except when it's me.
Right. Everybody except for Andrew.
And it has never happened.
The delusion. Yeah. Delusional.
Yeah. So, anyways, all this happens. Nick, was like, oh, so actually, let's bring in why this potential lawsuit was coming up.
Oh, yeah.
I built and hosted the website for Veterans Justice Initiative for $0. I built it for $0. I hosted it for $0.
Mm-hmm.
This is a...
And you spent hundreds of hours on this.
Government fucking operation that Nick profited off of, asked me if I could do it, and I fucking moronically said yes. Because, once again, I thought if I do this now, that Nick is the kind of guy that'll make it right on the other side.
Right.
And that's absolutely not what fucking happened. The moment they fired me, and I'm no longer getting fucking paid by them or by his client, now I'm held hostage by their fucking attorneys saying you can't turn this off. Bitch, you didn't pay your fucking bills. I can turn off any of my fucking clients' shit. If you are not paying your bill, you have no right to my fucking infrastructure. Nick doesn't have the right, and you as Nick's client do not have the fucking right. It took me 2 weeks.
It was closer to 3.
To fucking offload that shit. So I'm sitting there. I hosted it the entire time I was fucking employed. Even IAC kids.
Yeah.
Like, Warrior Rising, I redeveloped their site and it never was fucking used. URL shorteners, custom URL shorteners, both for DJM, Warrior Rising, a couple other ones. The guy that they brought in to migrate this shit was the guy that Drinking Bros had fired and hired me to fucking replace.
Oh my goodness.
So Nick got, after Nick fucking trash talked JT and Ross and all this other shit, talking about financial shit, Ross not paying people, asking me if Drinking Bros was paying me. Not well, but yes. Basically all this shit came to a fucking head. And then, what happens just shortly after the falling out with Nick? Drinking Bros wants to shut down their website. And guess who the developer for Drinking Bros is again? That guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they brought him back on. And this all happened right after. I'm not fucking stupid, Nick. Nobody's stupid. It's probably in your fucking texts, in your emails, because you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. You're a fucking piece of shit, dude. And I will say that with confidence. I didn't sign any document when I fucking left, and there's a goddamn reason. Going back to the whole severance thing. When I spoke with my attorney, when they were threatening all that shit, I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to fucking lawyer up. Let's fucking do it. I'm going to come after the money that you owe me. The fucking attorney that I talked to was like, how long were you there? I was like, about 14 months. He's like, and they offered you a severance? Never heard of somebody working for a company for barely a year and getting offered severance. There's a reason. I grease your pockets.
Right.
And now you can't talk bad about me because I gave you money.
Right.
And I didn't fucking accept your goddamn money.
Right.
Because you didn't pay me when I earned it. And I'm not going to sign your goddamn document not to talk about you. I didn't initially because I didn't want the clients to lose their service. But your clients don't even fucking like you. That's why the majority of them have fallen off or had fallen off over a period of time. There are clients who were booming, and then went to Nick, got the bare minimum, and then lost their fucking shorts. There are people that had fucking booming businesses and now are working second jobs again to maintain their business.
Wow.
And now they don't want to pay marketing
because they got burned so badly. They're genuinely scared that everybody is like that. That makes sense.
And it's not even that the marketing agencies are like that, but they think that that's all ads are. That they're not going to get an ROI. It's because they got fucked. Like, you have to, there are different industries. We've talked about this with the insurance industry. There's a fucking reason that you see progressive ads all the time on TV and streaming and wherever else and on your fucking social media.
So it's always in your mind.
Yeah. It's an awareness campaign. They know that almost none of you are going to click through and then buy insurance right then and there. What they want is when your rates get hiked up by X, that now you're like, I'm going to go to Y.
It makes sense.
Because they've literally burned their brand into your mind.
Every single day.
You can probably rattle off 4 insurance companies off the top of your head right now. And everybody would know the same 4.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not the only ones that exist.
Right.
So, yeah, shit pisses me off. You have to be transparent with your client and say, look, for the kind of operation that you're running, you're not going to get clients in the door like just a fucking landslide of people just being like, oh, I want to buy. There's a window of opportunity for certain things. And you need to be on people's mind when that window comes up.
Right.
Sometimes, like if you're Black Rifle, for example, right? They run campaigns for special promotions.
Okay.
They run an awareness campaign that's like, we exist, we exist, we exist, we exist. And then they have new exclusive coffee club subscription, new t-shirt club subscription. And they run those to capitalize on those flash sales.
That makes sense.
They want everybody to buy, and then they want you to do it again next month, and then the next month. This is not a bad thing. It is a business model that works for several industries.
Right.
It doesn't work for insurance.
No, it doesn't.
You have to build your campaign around they call it an avatar, right? So you have an avatar, demographic, an audience, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
You have to build the campaign around the long-term objective and then work backwards to find short-term objectives.
Okay.
So let's say your long-term goal is awareness for nonaphelps.com, right?
Okay.
The next time there's a rate hike that is like one brand specific or some sort of technology fumble where people's information gets leaked, you have to jump on that opportunity to say, hey, I'm here. It's not fucking scummy. It's that people need to know that you exist.
Right.
They're going to go and they're going to Google, right? They're not going to go to the second page.
No, they're not.
It's not even about SEO and ranking.
And it has to be at the top of the page too.
It's about
nobody's going to scroll.
It's about the first ad at the top of the page. Both on search and maps, and now within AI generated content. Because that's the way search is going, is AI. People are going to be asking their bot.
Oh, joy.
You already were. You just were doing it a different way.
Gotcha.
You were already having a one-way conversation. You were asking, and it was providing information.
Okay.
Now you're going to ask, and it's going to have a conversation with you and provide information.
Okay.
So, all that being said, you can't create these bundles and say, we will make this work for you. It has to be a la carte. Do you want video? Do you want static graphics? Do you want motion graphics? Do you just need copywriting? Do you need web development? Do you need, ad structure, build out, A/B test? Like, you have to identify the client's needs, and then you also have to identify the things that the client doesn't know and understand, and be able to convey to them, hey, this is why you should try this. I can't guarantee you that it'll work.
Right.
But if you try it and put a little bit into it, we can kind of, wet our toes and say, okay, this worked or this didn't. Or if this didn't work, why and when? When also matters.
Okay.
If you're running a campaign for 4th of July in December, it's not going to work. But that 4th of July campaign will work in June. And I'm not just talking about holidays. I'm talking about in general, like the timing of, with our podcast, the timing of the Mike Glover episode. If we hadn't got that episode out when we did, we would not have the views that we got on it. Other bigger channels who jumped on it after us have hundreds of thousands of views now. We're still really small, so we don't have those. But that video has more views than, at the time of recording this, has more views.
Because we were one of the first.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we were the first. We were ranking in search because of it. Our website was ranking because of it. Our videos were ranking because of it. Our Reddit was ranking because of it.
Wow.
That's all fucking buried now. But at the time, it just proves the point. Like being timely, watching trends. You can't just, for content and stuff like that, you can't be like, I remember that thing a couple months ago. People are already past that, man.
Right.
People are not thinking about that anymore. They're not searching for that anymore. You can't be the same character that you were. You have to be willing to adapt. Even if you're doing it in a parody, right? Like if you're making fun of it as it happens, you don't necessarily have to one for one.
Are you saying that I need to be a character?
Sure.
What?
I'm not talking about you. I'm saying in general, like if the trend on shorts is taking somebody's content and actually let's back up. Cover songs.
Okay.
New song comes out. When is going to be the best opportunity to do a cover? When it comes out. There are evergreen songs. You know, there are things from the 70s and 80s that everybody knows.
Right.
And if you have a unique flair, like if you're like a 9-year-old prodigy drummer,
right,
or pianist, or whatever, and you do something really cool, or it's because of your age, like there's always something. But overwhelmingly, if you want to capitalize on the now, you have to hit the now as soon as the now happens, not 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later. The Taylor Swift stuff, you could probably do something at any point in time, but you're not going to go cover a Kanye West song from 2003 and have any sort of success unless it's relevant at that time. Because
he did something crazy again.
Yeah. And you can't, I mean, maybe you can predict it with Kanye, but actually the reason that he popped up in my head was because I didn't know the girl that he's dating or married to or whatever, but it was in our podcast Twitter. Whoever the girl is, somebody was like, why is she always naked or half naked or something like that? She was wearing like a leather triangle with like everything exposed. Like when she turned, you can see like side boob and shit like that. And
did you like it?
No.
Sure.
Have you seen what this person looks like?
Yeah.
No. She's got flapjack boobs. Yeah. Anyways, so
she's his doll. He dresses her. He plays with her. She's literally a living doll for him.
Sure. That's what it looks like too.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Oh shit, we're at an hour already. So
all right.
This has been part 1. Part 2 coming up tomorrow.
We gotta wrap this up because Charlotte has a performance we gotta get to.
Shit, it is already 11. Fuck. Anyways, we'll see you tomorrow, Tuesday. This is Monday. Bye.
Bye.
Maybe. I didn't stop it.